Hello everybody, welcome to yet another episode of Cape Rugby here on Cape Town TV. Nice to have you along. Couldn't wait to see you again. It's been an interesting weekend. Interestingly enough, saw so many of you at the grounds at Newlands over the weekend. Of course, the Stormers taking on the Crusaders, and so many Cape Town TV, Cape Rugby fans coming to say hello. That was very exciting. It was great to see you guys on board. We've got a fantastic panel here this evening. We'll start with our esteemed guest, Mr. Herman Abrams, the Deputy CEO of Western Province Rugby. Hello, Mr. H.
Good evening, JP.
Nice to have you along, as always.
Yeah, I'm always glad to be here.
And as protocol demands, we speak to you first.
I'm so glad that you observe all the protocol.
I have to, otherwise I just get into trouble. And as esteemed a guest, and it's nice to have him along, and finally it looks like he's got a bit of time to have a breather. Chippy Solomon, the manager of the Stormers and Western Province Rugby. Hello, Chip.
Hi, JP. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
You know, this is my one day off, and I made up my mind I'm going to spend it with you.
I'm not quite sure what I have to read into that, but we're thrilled to have you here. So welcome to Cape Rugby. And of course, Egan Seconds. How are you, man?
Gaan goed, JP. Praat 'n bietjie Afrikaans vandag.
Ons praat 'n bietjie Afrikaans elke nou en dan. Ja, laasweek het ons natuurlik die Springbok coaches op die show gehad en omtrent die hele show was in Afrikaans. So daar was geen opportunity laasweek vir die media om die ding te misquote nie. Ons het hom sommer in die eerste taal gedoen. Mr. H, let's start with you. Newlands was of course a big day. Enormous amount of Cape Town rugby fans going to watch the Stormers take on the Crusaders.
Yes, it was great to see all the people there, and you know, for us that work there on the sides and you know underneath the tunnels, the score outside doesn't really matter. It is when the people walk away that they go away with the feeling that they've been safe in the stadium, that they had a good experience there, and that for us is, you know, paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was fantastic to see so many thousands and thousands of people going to the game on Saturday, and of course that's what we expect in Cape Town and Western Cape, and of course the rest of the world actually supporting so many of the blue and white colours out there. But to tell us more about that, we've got the manager of the DHL Stormers on the show with us, Chip Solomon. Chips, didn't go quite the way you wanted it over the weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was rather disappointing, the result that is, but everything else was great. You know, every time we drive in that bus down Boundary Road, you get that, your hairs at the back of your head raises, no matter who you're playing, because it's a passionate, emotional moment when you drive down there and you see the support out there. Yeah. There's nothing more that you want, and the people gladly wave and chirp us, but you know, it's good sometimes just to be part of that. It's amazing just to be part of that.
Listen, before we talk more, you know, about the Stormers and the season and that, of course we're going to touch on that. But I mean, more important to us, we're going to talk about club rugby during the course of the show. We all just, you know, so many of us, we see you on TV, either with a little piece of paper and then, like, you know, you're looking a little bit like a traffic cop writing somebody a ticket, and then you point and then you and like, I'm not sure if you're a traffic cop or air traffic controller, but there's a lot of movement and stuff like that. Just tell us, what is the manager of Western Province, a team? What is the team manager? What do you do?
Are you talking about on match day or prior to match day?
Well, both.
Well, the coach coaches the team, and that's what he does basically. Everything else around that team is managed by myself. So if you think of Super Rugby, it started for me last year, October already. This particular season started October, when I needed to finalize and wrap up all the logistics in terms of when we travel, where we live, where do we train down in Australasia. So that's basically most of my work. On match day, it's probably the most nerve-wracking time, because I communicate with the coaching staff, and they in turn tell me what to do in terms of warming up players, when to warm them up, who must be warmed up. I must be very wary of what's happening on the field in case there's a blood or injury. I do those substitutions quickly with the guidance of the coaches, obviously. Right. And at times when I do point up to the boxes, when they're not talking to me and I need information right now, but they're talking to each other and they're not listening, and then we start having our own little fight over the air. But it's great fun, actually. You know, at the end of the day, obviously, when you won, you come into the changing room and you sit down, you relax, and you let off the steam. and you have some of the brew that's there in the change room. But I just love my job immensely.
Yeah. But it's obviously, I mean, to manage the team in terms of what you've just explained, it's not just as simple as that. There's a lot of detail. It sounds to me like there's a lot of detail that goes into it.
Yeah, man, even putting the number on the jersey, it's detail.
Yeah.
Especially when we're overseas, you know, I basically do 5 people's work when I'm overseas with a team in Australia and New Zealand. I must make sure that the internal transportation is organized in conjunction with the conditioning coach, that the meals are all what we expect.
Yeah.
And we will go inspect the meals, make sure that it is the necessary nutrition that, that they require. And obviously we take your product overseas. We must make sure everything is in place for the team.
Yeah,
the coaches basically coach, give us ideas what they want, and I put everything in place in conjunction with the logistics people in the office at Newlands.
I mean, I travelled with the Springboks in '99, and I remember that they actually took what they called the Green Mamba at that stage, the scrumming machine. They had it shipped over for them to scrum, and that thing weighed something like 4.5 tons. Is that the kind of detail that you have to arrange?
No, well, we will definitely never take a scrum machine. We do all the hard work at home.
Yeah.
But we were very fortunate, I might add, that DHL came on board this year in supporting us with all our logistics in terms of moving our kit. For example, they collected all our kit the Thursday at the High Performance Centre in Belleville, moved it to the airport, checked it in for us. When we arrived in Sydney, they had their guys there waiting for us on arrival. Once we've passed through customs, Egan knows how it works. There's a lot of bags and things that they have to carry. But DHL was there, and they moved our equipment and our kit to the hotels. The best part of that was when we played in Melbourne. Now there was a little plane that we had to take from Sydney to Canberra. So they moved our stuff. We went to Canberra just for the weekend for the match, as we would go for a weekend to Johannesburg. So we had one little kit bag, and DHL came on board and moved all the rest of our kit to Melbourne. And that was amazing the way they supported the team. It's the first time I worked with a sponsor that was so supportive of our team.
Well, it sounds like you guys picked the right sponsor then.
Absolutely.
Folks, we are, of course, on Facebook at the moment, and we're checking out the numbers. There's a fantastic prize for somebody that's going to join us tonight. Remember, you can join us on Facebook as we speak. We are live. That address, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. Join us now. We're trying to climb the numbers as we speak. It's kind of exciting to see how many of you out there right now are either on your mobile phone or on Facebook, or alternatively even on your PC watching in the background. And make no mistake about it, there are many thousands in Cape Town right now watching Cape Rugby TV. So join us on Facebook as we speak. I think it is time now to look some at some of the results. Mr. H, you'd agree with me that club rugby is a little bit quiet at the moment?
Yeah, because we've reached the holiday part of the universities, and we are at the end of the first round. So normally we have a break just to make up any matches that were postponed. So we have a 1 or 2 week break, and then we'll start. But after next week, we're right on again.
How do you know that you're at the end of the first round? Is it a question of exactly a certain amount, or is it a seasonal thing?
Exactly 9 games.
Okay.
Halfway, and then we take a break.
So over the weekend, one of the derby matches that was played, 19-17 win for Collegians over Primrose.
Yeah,
shame for Primrose.
You know, again, last minute.
Yeah.
They were leading, and then they just.
I believe so. Last minute points coming in there for Collegians, and the guys from Collegians, of course, very excited about that one. That was one of those derby matches that we've said exists in club rugby. It's nice to have those kind of derby matches. They're not only in Super League A. We're pointing out the fact that those derby matches exist all the way through the club rugby divisions. So we'll be focusing on those divisions all the way through. Chip, you've played quite a lot of club rugby in your day. I mean, I didn't know that you started with Excelsior.
As a young boy, I played for Excelsior, which is now part of the Peninsula, and I see they in one of your divisions here. And eventually I went to school in Bonteheuwel, and I attended Bonteheuwel High. And then we were very close to the club, Thistle Rugby Club.
Okay.
So that's why I started playing big rugby at Thistles. I was with the club for 20 odd years, played at City Park with Herman. I noticed down the line here, Thistles played cities and we hammered you. That's good for the boys from Bonteheuwel. So we smashed cities 27-0. That was good. Yeah, I played in rugby in Bonteheuwel for Thistles. I played for cities a few games.
Position?
I played in the front row. Although I started as a loose forward, I ended up in the front row.
So you trimmed down.
No, I got bigger.
You got bigger as you were
front
playing.
row, yeah.
Mr. Eagle, let's start with you though. Eagle, it seems like when one first starts playing club rugby, you weigh quite a little.
Yeah.
And then as you play longer and you eventually get into provincial structures, you get bigger and you start weighing a lot more.
Yeah.
And then as you keep playing, you start weighing less. And then again, as you start getting older, you start weighing more again.
Yeah, that's the danger. And you know, I'm at that part of my career now. They say I moved from the wing. I've started playing center. They say I'm moving closer to the scrum. So I'm trying to keep fit so that I don't get anywhere close to that scrum.
As a wing, I mean, is it a position that you can move to? I mean,
You know,
how much of a
flanker.
I mean, we talk a lot about the scenario of utility backs and the value of utility backs, and we know that, and Chippy will probably might be able to fill us in on more on that.
Yeah.
But your opinion on being able to move around as a player?
You know, when I started off, I was predominantly just a wing. That's it. Could play both sides. But with the caliber of players you play with, you learn a lot. I played with amazing centers. You learn from them, and there's certain things that you pick up then. So that if a call-up does come, you know, anything can happen in a team with injuries. They're looking for the experience. And I would think at my age now, I'm experienced enough at club level, I can slot in at center, whether it's inside or outside. I've got the knowledge to do that. Yeah. And I think it's important that as a youngster, you don't want to limit yourself to just one position. Yeah. I think you need to be open to learn everything else, because on the field, you need to be able to call the shots from anywhere.
Yeah. Folks, let's take a quick look at some of the other results. Then if we look straight away at Premier League A, nice result there for Rangers over Scotstoun, 31 points to 25. In Premier League B, it was a 2-point loss for Silverleaf, just going down to Strand United, and Franschhoek, a bit of a loss for them against Silvertree, 11 points to 7. Mr. H, Rangers has been bragging about this potential win for a while now. Are we seeing some?
I think, I've followed all the things on the website also, and chat zone, and how they were saying, what is happening there, why are they not? But I'm glad to see that, and Scotstoun is not a bad side. They're a very good side, and I hope Rangers can continue, because they were the form team last year, and so now.
Ian, how important is it to talk it up during the season?
I think that's the first battle, is you rather talk a big game, it's a psychological battle. But it's always, the worst part is if you don't live up to the expectation that you build up. But I mean, in this game, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser, and you have to be, humble in victory and, take it on the chin if you do come up with a loss. I think, especially in the rugby, it teaches you a lot where that's concerned, because, I mean, we look at the Stormers, I mean, you have an amazing season. And if on the day you're not performing, then your whole season basically is gone. And you just got to pick yourself up, shake it off, and just keep going with the next tournament.
And as you say, there's a lot to live up to. Yes. In the Stormers' case, it's obviously fans, but at club rugby level, we're talking about families and communities and kids that are watching. And Mr. H, that's obviously very important from a community point of view.
Yeah, and when you talk about family, and the sons follow in the father's footsteps.
Yeah, Chippy, and in some cases, even the grandfather's footsteps.
Yeah. Chippy had he had the rare honor of dishing out the Cravenwick ties at the tie ceremony. His son is in the under 18 Cravenwick team of Western Province.
Hooker. In the appel val nie ver van die boom af.
Nie ver.
We'll come back to all of that still during the course of the show, folks. We'll have a chat with the manager of the DHL Stormers, Chip Solomons, about, of course, the Stormers season. So we'll have a look at that in a couple of seconds. Let's just look at some of the rest of the results then. Of course, Division 1 being one of the results, or at least one of the leagues we're looking at now. Hamatias, 29-8 over Young Stars. Eerste Rivier, a nice win for them, 31 points to 5 over Paarl Rangers. And Strand Pioneers going down to Watsonia, 20 points to 0. In Division 3, Cloudesville drawing with Caledonian Roses, 7-all. Perseverance went down to Violets, 12 points to 6. That was also a well talked up match. In Division 4, Peninsula going down to Imakawi, 12-10. and City's going down to Thistle. Surely, Mr. Chip, I mean, is this a derby match that we're big derby?
That's a derby match. That's an old two. Both clubs played in City and Suburban, where we all come from at the moment. And it was always big, and I'm glad to see that they're still contesting, again, competing against each other. And yeah, well done, Thistle.
Yeah. Mr. H, I've got to talk to you a little bit about the history of cities. There was an amalgamation of the clubs. One of the questions that came in from a player actually in the UK at the moment asked, what is happening? I know you're not actively involved with cities, but you obviously know more about cities. They're saying cities is not doing as well as it used to, or not?
They were the first club after unification that played in Super League A.
Yeah.
Then it was, I think it was called Premier League A.
Premier B and Premier
They played up there with the Marties and all those teams.
So cities used to be in Super League A?
Yeah.
They've gone down?
They've gone down, right down.
all the way.
I think it's
all the way down.
All about, manpower and, the quality of players that you attract. The minute you start going down, it's very difficult to go back.
Yeah, Mr. Chip?
Can I just come in there on City's part and most of our clubs in our townships where we come from. The one thing that concerns me, the reason why club rugby is down because schools rugby in those communities are dying down. We in Bonteheuwel at one stage when we were there, we were the top school in Western Province in rugby. Now, I don't even think the school plays rugby anymore. And therefore the clubs suffered because there's no system, the players from the schools. Likewise cities, they've got Belgravia, they've got Alexander Sinton in their immediate area. But there's no rugby at those schools, or there's very little or no rugby.
Well, there are some different reasons as to why we're not seeing rugby in certain areas doing as well as it should be. But on the other hand, in certain other cases, and certainly some of the clubs, youth rugby is exceptionally strong. From what I understand, Mr. H. Primrose is doing fantastically well, and there's a great example of just how well rugby is doing. And just to remind the folks out there, and particularly if you're somebody who wants to spend corporate money and you're looking to reach the right audience, do it right here. 17,500 club rugby players, 15,000 primary school players, 10,000 high school players. Surely we're not doing that badly.
Yep, there's enough there's enough places for all the money to go to.
Yeah.
Bring the money.
But obviously, Mr. Chippy, from what you're saying, it looks like those kids are going to certain clubs and some schools are not developing players.
Yeah, I think it's also a matter of manpower and expertise at the schools in the townships. I know of a few schools where females are trying to get rugby. They phone me very often for balls and equipment and assistance. But we as the provincial team, we can't really help them.
Of course.
This is the man that must help them. But I strongly feel, I come from a strong system of school rugby in the past, where all schools, we had 67 schools playing rugby. And at the moment, I think if there's 30 of those schools playing rugby, then it's a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's not just the development side. Of course, it's also a question of the infrastructure. Have you got a field? Have you got lights? Have you got electricity? And we're going to look at that during the course of the show as well. We've got some interesting information for you. As you recall, it wasn't so long ago that we went out to go and watch the match between St. George's and, was it Kraaifontein? Kraaifontein. We went out there and there was no electricity for the rugby field or for the soccer field because someone stole the electricity. We're still trying to work out where that guy is wat die leer gesteel het. Hy het nog steeds daar so by die pad afgestap met die leer. Maar ons glo iemand het nou 'n leer gekry en elektrisiteit weer aangeskakel. We'll tell you more about that during the course of the show. Let's look at the remainder of the results then. In the Paarl region, Simondium 20 over Parel United. Nice result for them. Allendale 0 loss for them against Violets, who went down there 36-0. 26-20, at least 27-26 for Young Gardens, a 1-point win over Windmill United, and I'm sure our Springbok coach will be very happy about that. He was on the show last week and he was talking up a storm for Young Gardens. Vineyards beating Young Standards by 2 points, 10 points to 8, and Riverstones coming up with a draw there against a Lower Paarl. Let's take a look at the numbers on Facebook right now. We know that you're out there. We know that you have jumped on. We'll hit the refresh button. We were on 1174. We're trying to get you to jump on right now, and we will issue a fantastic prize to one of you that is jumping on Facebook and saying hello. Okay, so you need to jump on and say hello to us. Welcome to Gilzan Reed Sussman, of course. We've just jumped up a couple more spots. We're on 1189 now. We want you to keep jumping on the Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV, and say hello when you jump on. Nice to have some pictures there. Gilzan Reed Sussman jumping in onto the Facebook page there. Well done to Esther Rivier. That comes from John Naude. Aldwin Nero says hello also on Facebook. Great show. Keep up the good work with local club rugby. The Cats, where the talent is. Those are you three. You're the Cats. Okay. The Thundercats. Anjo Gardner also thinks it's a good thing that players that know each position does and how to play in each position. Once again saying great show. So those of you that have just jumped on the Facebook spot with us, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget, still got some fantastic competitions coming up during the show, courtesy of Evox Advanced Nutrition. And as Chippy pointed out earlier on, the official sports nutrition supplier to the Stormers. The Leisure Hotels competition comes up a little bit later. We'll give you an opportunity to win some accommodation. We'll tell you what those SMS codes are a little bit later, but we're sure most of you know what they are already. And of course, to Mesa Computers for supplying us with the computer equipment that you see in the screens behind me. So thank you very much to those boys. Mesa, of course, also an official technical provider to Western Province Rugby. When we come back, we'll take a look at the locks. Back in a moment. Hello everybody, welcome back to Cape Rugby TV here on Cape Town TV, and they're flying in on Facebook as we speak. So if you've just joined us, well, thanks for joining us. And Gilzan Reed Sussman threw a picture up there, says, spot the guy in the front row. Yeah, I'm spotting 7 guys in the front row there, Gilzan. So guys, if you are on Facebook and you throw those pictures, do us a favor and tag someone or throw the name on so we can refer to you. But welcome to you if you've just joined us, and hello to Gilzan, John, Naude. And I see a few people, Chippy, have even invited you and thanked you for joining them in their living room right now.
It's my pleasure.
So some folks are watching out there in their lounges. We're hoping that you're staying warm. Cape Town, of course, bitterly cold at the moment, and I'm sure that we'll be making every effort to stay warm. Before we take a look at the logs then, Mr. Chip, the big thing on everybody's mind, of course, is, and I don't want to phrase this in the same old boring way that the media normally phrase the question, is like, what went wrong? Well, let's not look at that. Let me ask you the other way around. What went right? It was a pretty good season.
Yeah, I think most of the season went extremely well for us. The big turnaround especially was overseas. I mean, we were down 19-3 against the Blues. The Blues also lost in their semi-final to the Reds. We were down 19-3 in Auckland, cold, wet Auckland. We turned that game around, and that was a sign for us that we could go all the way. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. On the day, we were beaten by the better team, and that's it. We just had to go back to the drawing board and start all over again and find our problem.
It was a long season. We've seen more rugby than we've ever seen before.
Well, it's been an extremely long season for us. Normally we end in May. We always play. In the last 3 years we've been playing semi-finals. So our season ends in May and we start in July. Yeah. Now it's already July and we just ended last week and we're already on to Currie Cup rugby.
At the beginning of the season, some people criticized the style of rugby. They were saying it's all defensive rugby. There was not enough attacking rugby. We're not scoring tries. That style of rugby certainly seemed to get you to place second in this marathon. How do you answer the critics in that sense?
Well, I think people must understand, you don't go out full blast at every opportunity you get. You determine who you're playing against, and then you set your game plan, how you want to play. And obviously we were taking small steps, and still the steps became yards, and we took bigger steps. We started running, we started sprinting. We had some fantastic games this year. Look at the Cheetahs game. It was a good open display of open running rugby. Yeah. I mean, we weren't that bad. On the day, I say, we were beaten by a better team.
But yeah, sure. I mean, we know that the Crusaders are a fantastic team, and I don't think anyone can take anything away from that match there. When you turn up on the day, and they certainly turned up on the day, and what's more is they turned up with a team of 15 All Black players.
Absolutely.
You turned up with a team of half the team coming out of the young ranks.
Yeah, it was an amazing season in terms of the youngsters coming through. Just the other day, our coach Alistair could wish the Cravenwick team well, and he could just point his finger in the right direction, and there was Stephen Kitsoff. He played Cravenwick rugby last year for Western Province. I mean, isn't that an amazing feat?
Stephen Kitsoff in the Craven Week team at the moment.
He was last year.
Last year in the Craven Week team.
This year he played for the Stormers. He scrummed against John Afoa in Auckland and came out of that with flying colours.
A lot of injuries though this season.
Amazingly, we couldn't understand how it all happened. Or if the players started thinking that maybe they shouldn't play in the number 10 jersey because all the number 10s got hurt. All our number 10s were out for most of the season. Starting with Peter Grant, Gary, who came on, he did a beautiful job the first 20 minutes against the Lions, played exceptionally well for a young man. That was his first start and his last start for the season. He's on the comeback trail. Then we used Lionel Cronje on tour. He also messed up his knee. And we went on to Kurt Coleman, 2 games ankle out. The 4th ranked flyer was even out in our system. What more can we do about that? Nothing we can do about that.
Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that, was it just bad luck, or is it something to do with the fact that the season was so long?
No, I think it was bad luck.
Bad luck.
I think we've managed our players very well through the season. Injuries are just bad luck.
I must ask you this though, Mr. H. I mean, you will be probably one of the first. You must be more happy than anyone else, even maybe happier than Chippy over here. But I was looking at the Bulls team and also reading some of the media reports, and the fact is that come next, you've come second and you won the South African Conference.
Yes.
Okay, that already makes you the best Super 15 rugby team in South Africa. So you win the conference, you come second overall. We know that there's still obviously a match this, but in terms of the points, the overall log, the Storm was second. You're second. You're second best team in the Super 15. And I'm not trying to blow smoke here, but the fact is that come next year, the Lions we know have fallen apart. They've fallen apart financially. I don't actual fact they had anything to fall apart with in the beginning. They were broken pretty much before they started. The Sharks did pretty well, and the Cheetahs, they struggled a little bit, but they had a great, they sort of got there, but none of the teams seemed to perform as well as you guys. Surely you must be very excited about the fact that your closest challenger this year were the Bulls, but those Bulls are all gone now. Come next year, you're going to have all of these players again, and the fact is Victor Matfield, Bakkies Botha, and a list of other players at the Bulls are all going overseas. You must be very excited about the prospects for next year.
Well, we're always excited about our prospects. What happens at the other provinces, that's their own doing. We can never write any of the teams off in the Super Rugby competition because on any given day, you can lose to any of these teams.
Yeah.
You know, it's a matter of who turns up with the right frame of mind. So we won't be singing hallelujah because they're losing their players. We'll be singing hallelujah because we've got all our youngsters. They've been there. They know what it's like. They've tasted Super Rugby. So the things are only looking good for the way ahead.
So I know that a lot of the fans are going to say that they want me to ask some more direct questions of you. What went wrong on the day?
On the day, as I said previously, you said it, we played against 15 All Blacks. We played against a super front row. I mean, those guys had a plan. They all had this funny beards. It looked as if it was pasted there. So they came with a plan. I don't know what the plan was, to scare our front row with those beards, but they looked like bloody lumberjacks. One thought they might have had a big pole axe in the back of their pockets. But they were mean. They pulverized our front row. They demolished our scrums. And if you're not going to go forward from your set scrums, you're going to struggle for the rest of the game. Your scrum off struggles, and we had 2 20-year-old scrum ups, no experience at that level, and you're playing, your scrum is being pushed back 10 meters, you'll never win a game like that.
Well, there you have it, folks. It was a tough day, but playing against 15 All Blacks must have been quite an experience. I think I would have liked to be on the field just for the hell of it. We're climbing on Facebook as we speak. Please send us your messages. And looking at the folks that are out there, Dion de Toy, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us. Hello, of course, Mariam MJ Yakut, Mariam Uzair Abrams, Ashik Khasip, and Hamida Cedris, as well as Imelda Cupido. Welcome. I'm not going to go through the whole list. There's so many out there. Let's take a quick look at the logs, of course, in Super League A, and we'll run through these very quickly. We'll just look at the top 3 in each league as we go. In Super League A, SK Warmers are still sitting on top, followed by Stellenbosch and Durbel. SK Warmers sitting on 38 points, Stellenbosch in 33, and Durbel in 30. Looking at Super League B, it's Tygerberg against NNK, or at least not against NNK, although there's another derby match. We've seen that already. Tygerberg sitting on the top, NNK on the top, and behind that is Belleville. In Premier League A, it's Goodwood, St George's, and Hamlets in the Top three, we move into Premier League B. UWC, Solarians and Lagunya. UWC, Mr. H, still sitting on top there in Premier League B. They must be happy with their performance.
I'm sure that they are happy because they would very much like to move up, because it would be important for them to, you know, to attract the players for the Varsity Cup and all those things.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the remainder of the logs then as we move to Division 1. And Division 1, of course, keenly contested there. Eerste Rivier in first place, at least on top of Young Wesley's. Young Wesley's only 1 point behind. They both played equal matches, 10 matches. In Division 2, Manenberg Rangers is at number 1, followed by Rocklands and Watsonia. And then we look at Violets in top place in Division 3 with Caledonian Roses in second and Gardens Tech in third place. In the Division 4, it's Masiphumelele, Imikawe and Thistle. Chip, I've got to ask you, in this league, there's a bit of a gap between Masiphumelele, Imikawe and Thistle. If you look at that league there, being a former Thistle man yourself, the bigger challenges, the bigger guys to come out there, if you'd pick a derby match yourself.
A derby match, well, we played one derby already against Cities. We beat them.
Yeah.
Did they turn up?
Right.
And then obviously Thistle and Peninsula, it's also two Cities teams. That's another derby game. And the two top teams, also a nice derby.
All right, let's look at the remainder then of the logs. In the Paarl region, as we wrap it up now, Vineyards is on top, Lower Paarl and Violets in second and third. Merrill United still struggling just a little bit. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Leisure Group Hotels winners. 1 night's accommodation with bed and breakfast at the Fountain Towers. That is up for grabs. And of course, this week's winner, PJ Wagner. Congratulations, PJ. You win for yourself accommodation at the Leisure Hotel. So those of you that want to put yourself in the mix there to win some accommodation at the Fountain Towers, courtesy of the Leisure Hotels, SMS this number now. 32010. All you need to do is send that word Leisure Hotels. It's at least the word leisure. It is easy as that. Just one word, leisure. Send it to 32010. Don't forget, join us on Facebook on Cape Rugby TV. Do a search and click the like button. We're looking for you to jump on there and say hello as we speak. We're back with you in a mo. You're at Cape Town TV on Cape Rugby. See you now. Hello everybody, welcome back to Cape Rugby TV here on Cape Town TV. Nice to have you along at least. Don't forget, you want to win yourself some accommodation at Leisure Hotels, send that word leisure to 32010. It's as easy as that, and you will be in the mix. We draw weekly, 32010. That is your SMS number for the show. You just need to pick the right keyword. In some cases it's leisure, some cases it's Evox. It's as easy as that. Social media is of course going absolutely insane with the show at the moment. Nice to have you along. As I said, we need you to jump on Facebook and join us. Throw your questions. And don't forget, weekly, we take a look at your fan picks. So every time you go to a game, don't be shy. Remember, with your phone or with a camera, it doesn't matter. You take a pic and you upload it. I'm not worried about the quality. All I want to do is see your experience. So we want to bring your experience, that your experience at Fieldside, we want to bring that to the rest of the audience on Cape Town TV. We want to expose club rugby as much as possible. Same goes for youth rugby. If you're at a school game, please upload it on our fan page and we'll bring it onto the show. In some cases, we'll expose your photograph to the rest of the public. So talking about exposure though, there's been a question on Facebook from Riyad Tennyson about women's rugby. He's concerned about the fact that women's rugby doesn't get much exposure. Now, I got quite a few phone calls from the manager of the women's rugby team last week looking for sports nutrition supplements. Mr. H, how's women's rugby doing in Cape Town?
Maybe it's something that we work hard on, and we've changed this strategy. Instead of looking for women, senior women to play, we started at the bottom. We have an under 13 group, we have under 16 and under 18, and we're hoping that, you know, by coaching them regularly, they will come through. Our under 16 team played in this week. They're playing in a tournament, like the Craven tournament. They beaten last year's champions, Border, 56-0. And today they also beat the Blue Bulls 42 something.
But then I have to ask the obvious question, why do I get a question on Facebook about where's women's rugby, when women's rugby is doing so well, but no one seems to know about it?
And our provincial side, who's the national champions.
Yes.
They started their Currie Cup last week and they beat the Lions 56-4.
So, I mean, Chippy, let me get your opinion on this. Why is it then that women's rugby doesn't get enough exposure? Why is the media not focusing on that? Why don't we hear all these good things? I mean, we have the same, and the reason that I'm asking you is because we quite often see the media also going into your space, and we don't hear the facts necessarily. We only hear the bad stuff. You know, it depends on how they want to write the headlines. So, I mean, why are we not seeing more exposure for women's rugby?
Well, women's rugby is there.
Yeah.
As Herman said earlier, at school level, it's picking up big time now. We got provincial teams at school level, so they have done their homework. They've got women's rugby, and I think there's more clubs now than what there was a year or two ago. And they have. I mean, I've seen some trials of women's rugby. Their manager is quite a smart woman. She's involved in club rugby at Millerton Rugby Club, I think. And she's very excited about women's rugby. It's just that the media doesn't really show much interest in
well, folks, we're not actually then going to bother with the media out there if they don't want to play the game. What we are going to do is ask you, the fans, to be the media for us. So do me a favour, if you're out there and you're with the women's rugby team, the manager and the administration side, a fan or a player, take a picture of women's rugby, send it to us, put it on the Facebook so that I can tell the rest of Cape Town about it. We are the 4th biggest TV channel in Cape Town, and that means that there will be more exposure for women's rugby. It's as easy as that. Mr. H, we could probably get a couple of women's rugby pictures from you guys at Western Province. Okay. All right, so we got a commitment from Western Province that we'll get a couple of pictures. We'll put them up on the Cape Town on our Facebook site, and we'll then expose some of those pictures to you as well. A further question then, Mr. H, and I'll throw this one at you, was from Benjamin Leiter. And Benjamin asked, what must they do to get sponsorship for first aid?
It's quite simple. You know, clubs must start to get themselves organized. They're running a business there. Don't write a letter and say, you know, please help us. We disadvantaged. You must put up a business proposal. What is the company going to get out of it? We will surely try and get those people involved that are out there. And maybe we should get them on the set here and let them tell us what they can do for club.
Well, easy on the set, yeah, okay. Easy on the set. All right, this set has to be paid for. Oh. So if you are out there, okay, here's what I'll do for you. If you find yourself a medical sponsor, I will mention the sponsor on the show. So that's as easy as that. Go to a medical aid company, or first aid company, tell them you want sponsorship for your team, and we'll give them a couple of mentions here on Cape Town TV. It's as easy as that. And that is worth money in the bank for any corporate out there. Sponsorship relationships very important, Chippy.
Absolutely. I've experienced it now with DHL. It's amazing. The MD Sub-Sahara Brewer, Charles Brewer, he's worked very close with us since the inception of DHL and Western Province Rugby.
But you've put yourself in a position that you're worth sponsoring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, you don't see the Cheetahs getting any sponsorships. I think they're giving their sponsorships away for free. The Lions have put themselves in a position that no one's interested in working with them. They're losing their sponsorships. Yeah. People are climbing to sponsor the Bulls and the Stormers and Crusaders.
I can tell you, JP, you know, when we were down in New Zealand, the top man there of DHL made it his business to take me and my management out for dinner. When we were in Sydney, in Coogee, the same thing happened. They want to be part of it. They want to be part of rugby. They want to give more to rugby. I've spoken to Charles the other day. He wants to get involved in club rugby.
Fantastic.
He wants to give. They got it. They want to give it. Well, they made a big bucks in Cape Town the last 6 months.
Well, that's what we like to hear. We like to hear the fact that the big boss of DHL wants to be involved in club rugby. But more to the point, folks, over the remainder of the season, we're going to look at clubs and the business side of clubs and how we can help you as a club find sponsorship out there. Now you have a TV channel backing club rugby, all right? Look at these guys behind me. We can see the jerseys behind me. Some of these guys have got some sponsors. In the one case, I've got Elan over here. There's Retreat Rugby Football Club. These jerseys could all have sponsors across the front of them that could have exposure. Of course, we rotate the jerseys. We give everybody an opportunity. But there are sponsorship that you need to go and get out there in the marketplace. And now you have a TV channel backing you. It's as easy as that. So go brag a little bit. you've got somebody looking after your interests. But we will look after the business side of club rugby shortly. Egan, the next question I have to address is definitely certainly in your space. And there's a question from Cornelius Oudendal. Cornelius asked the question, as the second half of the club season kicks off, many clubs are experiencing injury problems in their first team. Do clubs properly look after their second and third teams to ensure that the club has quality and depth? We sort of touched on this earlier in the season with some of the coaches in the second team have to feed up to the first team, and the first team guys have to have. How tough is it for the second and third team guys?
You know, I'm experiencing it at Hamilton at the moment, but you got to remember that the first team is the flagship of your club, and the second and third team, yes, it gets disrupted, but as a player, you want to play for your first team. So if opportunity comes, you got to be pushed up. And I know the coaches are moaning and they get disrupted, especially on a Thursday. But I mean, it's a unit. Everybody's competitive. That's what makes it healthy for the club system to grow. Is that if everybody's competitive, the guys in the first team must know that the guys in the second and the third team is breathing down their necks.
So, but what you're telling me though is that from a club perspective, the clubs are not only worrying about the first team.
No,
they're definitely concerned about the second team, the third team.
Definitely. They have to be. Even on medical terms. I mean, the first team, second team, and third team, everybody gets treated the same way where injuries are concerned. Your players are your assets. If you don't look after them, the club is not going to be successful.
Chippy, tell us a little bit more about the sort of the flow in terms of the structure. I mean, this year the Stormers drew on players who came from the Currie Cup, players who came from the Vodacom Cup, players who came from HBC, players who came from the academy, all the way down to the fact that players came directly from school straight to the Stormers.
Yeah.
What is the flow in terms of the Western Province structures, and how do they move through those channels?
You see, at present we work very closely with our institute, and our institute are basically players that are some of them are given small little contracts to ensure that they stay in Cape Town, in the Cape Town rugby region.
Right.
The players are also scouted at Craven Weeks to come to the institute. So we have about 60 players at our institute, and they live in and they get all their coaching and all their nutrition and everything there. You know a bit about the institute. From the institute, they also play under 19. So there's this steady, you know, you've played Craven Week under 18. You're fortunate enough to get a contract or to be a top player, and we draw you into the institute, and then you play under 19. So players are in the system already from school level.
Is this a system that I mean, you must have been considering this for a while now, but this is one of the systems that you developed so that we don't lose local talent?
Yeah. I think Rassi has made a point of putting a lot of emphasis in ensuring that these things work for us in Cape Town. So we've got schools rugby, under 18, institute, under 19, under 21, Vodacom, Currie Cup, Stormers.
So it flows all the way
Some
through.
players are so damn good they jump from institute into Stormers.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Especially in the number 10 position.
Yeah. The number 10 position they jump from Griquas to Stormers.
Mr. H, but it must be nice to have that sort of flow in the system. Over the years, we've had a lot of people saying, you know, we don't feed the club rugby through to the provincial teams.
Yeah, no, look, we have our amateur team and all those people that now Jerome Pawata looks after them, and they are supposed to come through, you know, to the Vodacom and then up. So there's but just to come back quickly to the fact that clubs don't look after third and second teams. The union has seen that problem. Therefore, we agreed and approved a law that says if you don't pitch up with the third team on Saturday, you lose one log point of your first team.
Really?
So you can't just not pitch up with the third team.
Is that common knowledge? Did you know that, Egan?
I knew that, yes.
You knew that?
It's always been like that.
So that's a fact across the board. Everybody know that?
Yeah.
All right, make sure you know that, folks. You don't rock up with your third team, your first team. Okay, so not to speak about, you know, match fixing or anything like that. We don't talk about that kind of stuff on the show. All right, but if this was a cricket game and you were a third team player, there would be a way for you to bet on the first team.
I have to say, JP, sometimes it's always good that the guys who's playing second team actually plays third team and then just starts the second team game also. They just go into that game.
Yeah, but
that's a good strategy.
I was a club president in all my rugby. I've been a club president for about 20 odd years.
Yeah.
You don't want them to touch your first team, eh? Yes, that's groot moeilikheid.
Those points.
Don't touch those points, eh?
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, we'll have emergency meetings.
Well,
That happens to us. We have emergency meetings. We drive to people's houses, get the players. The oaks who haven't played for 2 years, please, you must just run onto the field.
I've come to realize there's only one more thing more important than points, and that's tickets at Newlands.
Don't go there.
Let's quickly take a look at some of the fan pics, folks, that came in over the weekend. A nice picture here from Carla Norkia. Carla brings to us a picture there in the match between Tygerberg and Brackenfell. Brackenfell first row there. Stoney Steenkamp, Sean Adonis and Jaco Visser. Nice to have you guys on the shot there. That's a beautiful picture, Carla. Thank you very much for sending that in to us. And then another picture also there from Carla, Patrick Skinner running with the ball for Brackenfell. So nice pick there. And of course, this was last week's match that we attended, Collegians up against Primrose. Baidu Adams sent that picture into us there, and if I'm not mistaken, that looks like Farley Felton on the side for Primrose. And if I'm not mistaken, there might be a 50-year-old gentleman on the side of Peniel Villagers there. Peniel Villagers, of course, had a little bit of a battle with their equipment. Let's quickly look at the picture here from Stacey Williams. Stacey managed to send us a picture from Elsie's River. This is the under-16 team playing Lactonians from the United Kingdom on Saturday. A couple of international teams coming through there to visit, Mr. H.
Yeah, we have quite a number of these school sides that visit during the holiday periods. And it's quite nice for clubs to be able to play against them. It gives the kids here the opportunity to play international rugby and learn from them.
We were talking earlier on about the selection of players in the club ranks, folks. We are trying to put together our Cape Rugby TV dream team, all right? The best player in each position out of the whole of Western Province Club Rugby. We want you to make those suggestions on Facebook. You are our sort of scouts out there. We've also asked the guys from Radio 786 to put together their dream team. We're going to try and present that to you. They've agreed to throw it together. We know that they broadcast live from some of the games. We'll look at 786's dream team. So that's what you think is the best player in each position. It's not necessarily the best player, but we like to hear what you have to say. Players with the most suggestions are the players that get into that squad there. So it'll be fantastic to look at the names of some of the players. Let's move right along then. Of course, we'll move straight to our Evox competition. Those of you that want to win yourself 500 rands worth of Evox products, all you need to do is send the name of the official sports nutrition supplier, and you heard Mr. Chippy Solomons refer to that team earlier on, at least that brand. Send that 4-letter word into 32010 right now, and you could win yourself 500 rands worth of Evox products. Evox, of course, the sports nutrition supplier to the Stormers. And as you know, it's this time of the year that those sports nutrition products are so important. Because now, when you're about 3 or 4 points down on the log, it's not the time that you want to be lightweight. Chippy, how important is nutrition to you guys at the Stormers?
No, it's of utmost important. They must understand nutrition is about supplementation, getting players up. Eh? You understand?
Yes.
Players lose a lot of energy with training and lose a lot of, so therefore they have to supplement that with supplements from Evox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ian?
James, I just wanted to ask Chippy also. I mean, Chippy was my manager also, and talking about supplements, I used to see Chippy in the gym with the players. I don't know if it was for the shots that the TV is usually on Chippy when he's, but Chippy loves gymming the guns. You know?
Gymming the guns?
Yeah. And I don't know if you've noticed when the shot is on him on halftime or something, the t-shirt's always tight, Chippy. I mean, am I lying or what's happening, Chippy?
No, well, because I think
he's also on supplements.
And there I thought you were just wearing your Craven Week Kids shirt. So yes, folks, win yourself 500 rands worth of Evox products. That's what's going to get you through the rest of the season. Remember, as a club rugby player, you are semi-sponsored. All you need to do is get hold of the guys at Evox. It's as easy as that. That number to SMS, then again, the word of the sponsor, I'm not going to tell you who it is, to 32010 if you haven't worked it out by now. All right, then, our winner this week is Jeremy Manel. Congratulations, Jeremy. You win yourself 500 rands worth of Evox products. Jeremy entered last week. We drew your name, and we draw it weekly, and Jeremy wins for himself 500 rands worth of Evox products. You can see at the bottom of your screen there, 32010. That is the number that you need to send it to. When we come back, we'll take a look at the matchups this weekend. Who's up, who's down, who's playing who, where do you want to go, what do you want to watch, who do you want to put your money on? Back in a mo. Welcome back to Cape Rugby TV, folks. Don't forget, we are looking for you on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. One of you will win for yourself a fantastic prize during the course of the show, and I suppose I might as well announce now that it is a Cape Rugby TV t-shirt. We'll be showing you those t-shirts next week, and we'll be asking you to proudly wear them at match days. Cape Rugby t-shirt up for grabs for somebody on Facebook. All right, we're making a limited amount of those t-shirts, limited edition Cape Rugby t-shirt coming up. And of course, one of the folks that have joined us on Facebook will have an opportunity to win that. Let's take a look at some of the matchups then over the weekend. Of course, it's going to be kind of exciting when we look at some of these results then in Super League A. Egan seconds. Let's have a chat with you, my man. I know you didn't want me to do this.
I didn't want you to ask me.
But it is another one. It's another one of those derby matches. Hammies against SK Warmers, and this time you're at home.
Yeah, it felt like that nightmare of the last time was just yesterday, but we've got the opportunity to set things right this weekend. It's a major, major game, not just for us to get the season going again, but for SK Warmers to stay on top, basically.
Will SK Warmers run out of the Hammies tunnel?
You see, I knew you were going to throw that one in there, JP. We don't have a tunnel. We've got a little off-ducky that can come through there. It's okay.
Well, I'm going to suggest that they don't jump off the off-ducky. At least not until after the game. But that's going to be one of the crackers this weekend, Mr. H.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some in Super League B then. The fixtures for the weekend in Super League B. And don't forget, while you are there, we are asking you that you take some snapshots and Facebook them to us. Big ones there is Collegians and Hands and Hearts. Kales River against Belleville Primrose against Tygerberg. Young People take on Peniel Villages at Dal Josephat. But the pick of the match, you can see it there in red, is Brackenfell against NNK. Chip, you know those two teams, NNK and Brackenfell. What would you say?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking Obonti, you know, their coach, their president, their messias, their everything. He'll be pulling out the last of his hair this weekend. Well, they're going through a tough time, but I think it's going to be quite a game to watch.
Well, I must say, I mean, I'm quite impressed with the things there so far. In the rest of the fixtures in Division 1, we see Hamadias up against Paarl Rangers. Carlmore take on Boerland Mark. The fixture there of the lot is Northerns against Young Wesleys, and Division 2 it's Manenberg Rangers against Temperance. That's what you want to look out for. In Division 3 we see Violets against Young Ideas. That is your pick at Chaka Road. Go check out Violets against Young Ideas. And then in the Paarl regions, the pick there, Young Gardens against Young Standards. Young Gardens, of course, the club of the Springbok coach. We are on Facebook. Mr. H, very quickly, we've got about 10 seconds with you. I believe there's good news at St. George's.
Yes, I heard today that the council finally started working on the lights after the ladders were missing and all those things, and it's good news because I think they have worked from us.
Fantastic stuff. There you heard it. We put some pressure on those councillors. Chippy Solomons, we wish you guys all the rest of the best for the rest of the year. Fantastic season. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this was my one-off day for the season, JP, but I made a point of coming here. Tomorrow we start preparing for our Currie Cup season. So
soon. Egan seconds. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again next week.
Dit was 'n plesier, JP.
Dit was 'n plesier. Daar het julle mense www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. Join us there. Send us your picks. We look forward to seeing you on a weekly basis. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Look out for those repeats on Thursdays. Bye-bye. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. See you then.